going on there, YouTube? This is SEL0320 representing JVS. I'm back here again for a brand new early screening of the movie London Has Fallen. This is the sequel to Olympus Has Fallen. Antoine Fuqua, he's the one that initially directed it. He directed movies like Training Day, Shooter, some awesome movies. But this one was actually starring Gerard. Butler. He played the agent named Mike Banning. Aaron Eckhart, he played the actual president, and Morgan Freeman played the vice president. And the cast is back. The thing is that Mike Banning as a character, he's reminiscent, in my opinion, of the Die Hard films character of John McClane. And this is no different than the first one. The question is, was it better? Did it improve upon things? Or did it kind of stick with some of the things that drug the other one down? I'm going to try to go into that as best I can in this one. But the movie is going to be coming out this Friday, but I got an early screening of it tonight, which is pretty awesome. I'll read the synopsis for you. In London for the Prime Minister's funeral, Mike Banning discovers a plot to assassinate all attending world leaders. So instead of like the last one, where basically it was just a target of Olympus or the White House, essentially, that whole premise was just insane. When I remember it was on in the theaters, I was like, really? They actually went there? And then it was funny because the movie that kind of came out was similar to that. I thought that was interesting, but that wasn't nowhere near as good as Olympus Has Fallen. I actually really love that, that's why I bought it. So let's go ahead and dig into this one. As far as the VFX, the special effects, as far as cinematography, how was it? I actually think that the practical effects were actually done really well. Specifically the gun choreography as well as the placement of certain things. There were certain sequences. There was one sequence in the back alley when there's just a firefight that's going on. You see like bullets flying back and forth, and it's like really cool the way they actually shot it. As well as like this aerial shot that it was an interesting helicopter like kind of rift that was going on. I can't tell you why, but it was actually really suspenseful because it was really dangerous situation, and I was like, man, anything can really happen at this point given the circumstances, because there's a lot of destruction throughout most of London. The only problem with that is that the VFX for the actual explosions, like the actual explosions themselves, to me it wasn't all that good. There were times where it was like the explosion, it worked in a certain moment, especially towards the third act. Then there was like explosions towards the middle and the beginning that I was like, what is really up with this? Because it was just kind of like a dud almost. And then there was times where I saw like little streamers coming out almost like fireworks. And it really wasn't on the believable side, which is weird because I think the budget for this was about $108 million for the budget. And I was talking back and forth with my friend Lucas that went with me, and I was like, you know, but it was very entertaining. That's why I'm saying, as far as the practical effects, as far as the choreography, as well as even like the fight sequences, it was actually pretty legit. Now, as far as the score is concerned, surprisingly, it was alright. I mean, it seemed like more so like the original one. It just felt as though certain sequences didn't work as far as the VFX. It just didn't look that good, personally. But let's go into the acting. So the acting, it brings back the same characters. I think that Gerard Butler plays this character well, Mike Manning. The thing is, in this situation now, he's actually trying to start a family. And it's like he got like his family and he got his duty, you know, and he's always had this really close relationship with the president. And him and Aaron Eckhart, their actual chemistry works really well. It's actually, the weird thing was that the beginning of the movie was really boring to me. It was to the point that I was kind of like really like set out and tired. It wasn't until stuff really hit the fan when you get this terrible VFX and then you actually get them on the run and on the gun, is that their dialogue, it was a lot more fluid, but it was also a lot of cursing and a lot of extreme nature situations that were going on, that it kind of, it amped everything, but it kept their connection really well. So him and Aaron Eckhart, I think that they do really well together in general. Matter of fact, the president gets a little bit of action, and that's the thing. Aaron Eckhart, he's actually low-key action star, because I looked at the movie Race and he actually did a really good job with that. He's just a great actor anyway. Both of them actually are. Angela Bassett kind of has a small role in this one. I'm not going to say what's going on with her situation. I'll leave that for y'all to look at. But Morgan Freeman, he makes his appearance in this one. As Morgan Freeman does, like his stage presence is just there. I don't think that people thought that he was going to have a bigger role in this movie. he makes some interesting calls, and I liked his dialogue sequence towards the third act, but towards the middle and the beginning, he really doesn't have much to actually do. And I was actually surprised by that, because when I looked at the trailer, it was the total opposite of when I saw it in the movies. So, how was the movie? Okay, I think when I did my predictions, I gave it a C. I'd have to probably give it like maybe a C minus. I don't think it was as good as the original. I think that they utilized some interesting situations. Like, I think that the whole premise of having the world leaders target instead of just the president, I think that that was something that was a great idea. And the premise, even in the sense of like the danger of having not just the president, but multiple different, you know, presidencies in one confined area, like that's a scary situation, you know? And I think that at a certain point it was like evident, like, man, like I was thinking that, you know, somebody was gonna die here, die there. The problem was that throughout most of the second and the third act is that you see no pedestrians. There are no pedestrians. And there are times where you see Gerard Butler and Eckhart's characters just running down the street, running from bad guys. It's like everybody is against them, you know? And I mean, I can't tell you why, but it does kind of explain to an extent like why you can't trust the police, why you can't trust anybody else, especially how systematically people are just kind of getting killed and taken out. But it just was kind of like weird to me, because I was thinking to myself, I was like, they would have done so much better of having civilians in the movie. Like, man, like there's destruction that's going on, man, this is a terrible situation, man, this is so scary. But I think that either one or two things happened. One, that they didn't think that the relevance of people actually showing their concern about their country and thinking bomb was like evident. Maybe they could just focus on the action and just have them in all these different set pieces because there's martial law there, that nobody's actually outside or doing anything. Or my second thought, and I didn't think about this until just now, is given that what happened last year. I mean, there was seriously an actual attack, systematic attacks that were actually going on in Paris and different locations. And so my thought process is that maybe they didn't want, it was too soon, in other words. It's too soon in the sense of good service for fans and for viewers, that maybe they didn't want to actually see people out there, you know, doing this. But the thing is that when you start bombing like major locations like this, I mean, to me, if you're going to do it, either you do it or don't do it at all. I think that was the thing that kind of deflated the movie in the believability and the relevance of impending danger. Now, I'm not saying that nobody dies. There are people that do die in this movie. It's just, I think that the movie, in substance-wise, was just an action flick versus something that could have been a lot more thought-provoking and a lot more literal. And matter of fact, if I had to go on a critical level, I think that the way that they kind of describe the terrorists is really one central line in a certain extent. Like, it's like, okay, this is the enemy right here, versus you don't know who the enemy is, the inner workings. It's just one person behind the scenes versus like a huge system of. And I think that they could have done a way better job with that. Was it entertaining though? I think it really was. I actually, like I said, I enjoyed Gerard Butler's character when he was in the cut. I think that I enjoyed Eckhart's character back when he was actually in the cut. It's just the beginning, it's just so dry and it's not executed well enough to get me intrigued. And some of it really didn't make sense, specifically with the bad guy and specifically what was actually happening towards the third act. And even like the payoff at the very end, it's kind of seemed like a little campish, if that's a good way of putting it. But all in all, like I said, it was a decent flick. I give it, I guess, a C minus. As far as numbers are concerned, maybe a 6.5 out of 10. I don't think I could give it like a 7. I'd probably give this about a 6.5 out of 10. If you're interested in just turning your brain off and just trying to enjoy a movie and enjoying the action, you will get something out of this. But otherwise, that's all that London Has Fallen has. If you want to go and check out something a little bit better, then go check out Olympus Has Fallen. You don't have to watch this one to be able to understand what's going on in that one. That was one thing I will say. But hopefully you enjoyed this non-spoiler review for London Has Fallen. This is SEL 0320 representing JVS. We're not going to stop. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.